just a little virtual green screen, nothing too fancy.
Mm, mm.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pitch Perfect podcast. We are a flesh and blood podcast that aims to educate, empower, and support the female community in flesh and blood. We are your host. I am Elaine. And as always, I'm joined by Melody. Say hi.
Kia ora.
Today, we are also joined by the amazing, wonderful, hilarious Tall Timmy, or Paul, but most of you probably know him as Tall Timmy. And yeah, we have a fun episode planned for today. I think we all just kind of wanted to hang out, have some fun, let loose. So at the end of the episode today, we're going to play a little game, which I think will bring lots of laughs. But in the meantime, we'll just dig in. So how are you doing today, Paul? We're so excited to have you.
Cheers, Elaine. How good is this? We are, I really enjoyed our little catch up pre-recording, get to know each other a little bit better. But no, I'm doing well. I'm doing great. It's getting a little chilly down here in Sydney as we move into the winter because we're in the upside down world. But no, I'm doing well. I'm very excited about Pro Tour Baltimore and the calling. So I'll be heading over your way in I think I leave in about 4 or 5 days. So just trying to get everything organized on the home front, with the channel, with everything, and just last minute jamming everything together so I can have a productive trip while I'm over there.
Pro Tour is getting so close. That is crazy.
It's so close.
Oh, it's so exciting. Oh, very crazy. But yeah, so first we're just gonna do a quick little catch up for anyone who might be listening and is not familiar. So we're gonna talk about you. So just give us a little background about how you got into Flesh and Blood.
Awesome. Well, I am a TCG player on and off since I was a kid. The only TCG game I've played outside of Flesh and Blood is Magic the Gathering. Started way, way, way back, probably around 95, 96-ish, through the sports card boom. And then I had a long hiatus for about 16 years because of the card crash back then, and my LGS went bankrupt. Most of them did, mind you. And then I got back into Flesh and Blood at the start of 2013 as a young adult. And then I show my age here, Mel. And then
Calculating.
I played pretty full on for about seven-ish years, and then just with quite a few things that Hasbro I thought was changing Magic for the worse. It just wasn't really the sort of game in 2018 than it was in 2012, 2013. So I stepped away. I had a friend that owns an LGS, and on and off, I'd inquired about this new game, Flesh and Blood. Unfortunately, I was given some negative feedback about the game, so I stayed away. However, since I hadn't been playing a TCG for 18 months, I was just really yearning that. And then I saw the professor's post on Facebook about the organized play pyramid that LSS first released. And this was back around May 2021, thereabouts, maybe April. And then I did some research myself. I didn't rely on other people's opinions to sway me. I read a lot. I watched a lot of YouTube. And the more that I dug, I realized that, hang on a sec, this is actually a legit game. I think I would really enjoy it. It seems to fill the gap that I'm really searching for right now. So yeah, May 2021, about 1 or 2 weeks after Monarch First Edition hit the stores, that's when I got into Flesh and Blood, and I haven't looked back.
Monarch. So you were there during the craze when it went to the moon.
Oh, it was so crazy. It was, people complain about the prices now, but imagine going into LGS wanting to buy a booster box of the newest set and them telling you, oh, that's going to be $550, thank you. And I would be like, excuse me, how long has this been out for? What, 25 years? 15 years? Oh no, this only came out a week and a half ago. Like it was a wild
So what was it like?
It was
for you,
crazy.
just being brand new.
Well, I obviously didn't buy a booster box. It was too bloody expensive.
No.
But still, I bought a fair few loose packs of Monarch, and they were like $27 each.
What?
$27 each for loose packs of Monarch.
Oh.
And I remember when I first got into the game and I was playing Bolton, I started with the precon deck, and then I started
Good.
making some upgrades to that Blitz precon deck. And I remember those cheap upgrades cost me around nearly $300 in singles. That's how expensive, because Monarch Unlimited hadn't hit the shelves, and all those Majestics and Rares were so much. They cost so much money.
Yeah, I remember. So I wasn't playing at Monarch, but that's when the guy I was dating who got me into the game. That's like when he started playing, and I don't know if he bought a box or just packs or like what he bought, but he pulled a cold foil footsteps, and I remember him like
Mm.
showing me the price, and it was thousands, and I was like, sell that, and he was like, no, this came out, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up anyway. It did not. It was that was a peak. It was definitely to sell, but it was just crazy. And I knew nothing about it at the time, but I remember being like, that card, really? That card costs that much money?
Part of me,
Crazy.
like reflecting back on the time, right? That insanity in that 12 to 18-month period in Flesh and Blood's early days where things just went ballistic. But it wasn't just Flesh and Blood, it was most collectibles. And with COVID and the way the economies were going, I often sit and reflect and think, do you think that was an overall net good for the game or a net bad?
Mm.
Because part of me thinks, oh no, it was bad because it would have detracted a lot of people from entering the game because of the price barrier. But then I think, how many eyes were on the game in its early days when the hysteria was going on, and just these absurd prices and all these big content creators covering it just sort of drew like a massive spotlight onto the game.
Mm.
Um, and even though I'm not saying it's right, I definitely don't agree with all that price manipulation at all. What was going on, but part of me also thinks it might have been, part of the game's success. Either way, it is history, and we have to accept that it happened. But
Mm.
I often think, was it a net negative or a net positive? I'm not too sure. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to think about and debate. But yeah, we're glad that you stuck through those Monarch times,
Yes.
the craze of Monarch, because now I think you are a fantastic content creator in the space. You always keep everyone laughing. You are absolutely hilarious. I love watching your videos. So I'm just kind of curious, when you set out to create content for Flesh and Blood, was kind of like the hilarious spreading joy, was that like a main goal, or has it just been a happy side effect?
Thanks, Elaine. You're too kind. You must be saying that just because you beat me so badly in New Jersey, that you're trying to soften those wounds that I carry around, that I'll never forget. I'll never
Oh,
forget.
pull out the violin.
um, no, but in all seriousness, look, I'm not too sure. People that know me in real life know that I am what I am. I try and convey my true self on my content. Of course, it can be a bit tongue in cheek, and I do find it somewhat therapeutic and a little bit of an escape as well. But for the most
Mhm.
part, I often think, my stuff's definitely an acquired taste. It might not be for everyone, but I often think, what would I like to watch, and what's engaging, and and that's how I am generally anyway. So yeah, I just try and convey that excitement the best that I can and have a bit of fun. I don't like taking myself too seriously. I think life's too short. So
I remember the first video I ever watched of yours. I think you're in a bathtub.
in a where?
Like,
Bathtub.
bathtub. And I was like, who is this guy? What is this content? I think David from Art House Syndicate said, you got to watch this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, this guy's hilarious. You've come a long way since then. Like, there's a sort of comical side of things, but then you've got some really good content that I've enjoyed over time, which, talking about salty players, um, like tips about playing. One was making sure that when you get intimidated by Reiner, that you put the card back in your hand, which during skirmish I forgot to do and lost the game. Anyway, but you've got some great content. So where do you see the future of that? Like, do you have any goals for it?
um, not really. Not real. I don't think I have any like goals as far as content. I just want to keep producing it, but I'm always fighting with time. I'm
Mm,
married. I have 3 children. I have a dog. All four of the people that I live with, they're all vying for my attention. I have quite a full on day job with a lot of responsibility. Plus, I have friends and family outside of the game
mm,
that I like to catch up with. Plus, I just love playing the game. So I like to play the game. So when you take strip that all down, there's just not a lot of time. But I definitely want to just continue to make entertaining, interesting content, like you said. Often give people tips or talk about topics that are often overlooked or maybe come at it from an angle that you might not hear other content creators talk about, and just stay consistent and just show people that um, someone like me that has might be a bit older or has their plate full or isn't the best player. Down here in Sydney, Australia, can run a YouTube in our small space and have some moderate success, then inspire other people to do the same. And my goal is always inspiring people to participate in events and get out there and grow the community and grow the game and be a good ambassador for the game. So that's my goal, is just stay consistent and keep meeting people and in the community and showcasing the community we have to the outside audience, that it's a great place and a welcoming place.
sounds awesome. And you talked a little bit about being a casual player. So it's going to segue into our next set of questions. So you came from a competitive Magic background, right? You were like the mill guy from memory.
Well, I don't know if you can say the word mill and competitive
Mm,
in the same sentence, but you know, look, I define competitive play. My takes on it are a little bit different. I define, if the event has prizes on the line, you're
mhm.
competing for those prizes. Therefore, it's
Okay.
competitive. Unless everyone is getting equal pricing, no matter if you come first or last, if the pricing's tiered depending on your result, then in my belief, that's a competitive event. And if the stakes are higher, then it's more competitive. That's how I view it as. So yeah, I played a lot of competitive Magic, but I never played, to be honest, viable decks. I drew enjoyment out of that game, turning up to big tournaments with rogue meme decks. That's how I found joy and fun in participating in Magic. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, sure, I got plenty of wins, but geez, I got plenty of losses too. Um, so um, that's how I best describe my time in Magic, and with Flesh and Blood as well. I do love competing. Like, I do love that Flesh and Blood is a competitive outlet, and I often view it as somewhat like a pseudo sport. You know how people might go to their training and then play a competitive sport on the weekend. They're playing for a result to maybe make the finals at the end of the season, and I sort of view Flesh and Blood like that as well. If you're playing in store, because there's different ways to enjoy Flesh and Blood, but I believe LSS's, and from what I've heard James speak on the topic, is Flesh and Blood does enable people to play competitively in their local game stores.
So would you consider yourself a casual Flesh and Blood player? Because based on what you've just said, then Armories are competitive,
Correct.
right? Like,
No,
yes.
yeah, I definitely consider myself, Mel, as a competitive player, because all the times that I engage with the game, generally, unless I'm playing a bit of Talisha at home, are generally competitive. We're definitely playing for something. Drafts would be a little bit different, um, because generally you just buy into the draft and you keep what you draft. So that might be a little
Mhm.
bit different. But still, we play to win in those drafts for bragging rights. Um,
Yes.
so, you know, I guess that's how I would deem myself. I think at the moment, I think a lot of people are really sort of confusing competitive and casual with Flesh and Blood. I think even a lot of people that might say they're a casual player, in my mind, they still enjoying the competitive nature. To me, it comes down to attitudes more so than anything. I think there's a stigma that competitive people, excuse the French, can be like real jerks. And there are plenty out there. But, hopefully through my content and content like yours, we can encourage people that you can be, a casual, easygoing person, but like playing in competitive style events. So the way that I engage with Flesh and Blood on the regular is competitively. I don't generally play on the kitchen table that much or play UPF or anything like that.
Okay. And you recently started coaching with
Coaching,
Nick, is that right? Yeah.
coaching people? Are you serious? No
No, no, no,
one
no.
should.
Nick
No one
coaching
should.
you.
Oh wow, no.
Your eyes went wide like what?
Sorry. Yeah, no one sign up to my coaching, please, God, no. Well, no, Mel. Last year, I engaged Pro Tour winner Matthew Folkes before nationals,
Oh.
and I
Okay,
had
yeah.
I had 2 or 3 sessions with Matt Folkes last year before Nats. Phenomenal, absolutely.
Oh.
First time I'd done anything like it because I'm so time poor and I didn't have enough time to do the work myself. He was there to help me with the sideboard plan, help me with the matchup plan, but also he really just instilled that confidence in me, which I think is very important. That a successful coach. Since then, I've done a couple of little like informal sessions over here with Nick Butcher, but generally speaking, that's all I've done. I haven't really played with a lot of coaching, to be honest.
You don't have time.
Well, I think coaching's good for people that are time poor. I'd recommend it. Like if you can pay someone for a service to sit down with you for a couple of 1 hour sessions to explain your deck's plan, the matchups are, like a little cheat sheet, like 2 or 3 points on how your deck is to approach each matchup, like a primer, and then just your sideboard guide for each matchup, and then just talking you through some lines of play. I think for a lot of people that's enough.
Well, that kind of answers our next questions, which was, would you recommend coaching to other players? Is Matthew Fox still doing coaching? I haven't seen his face around at all.
I'm not too sure. I believe he's like got a new job, so I think he's a bit time poor himself, and he's focusing on competing at the PT with the limited time he has. But there are coaches out there. I'm sure if people go on Twitter, hey, looking for a Flesh and Blood coach, you'll probably get inundated. But I'm sure, just like anything, there's probably some coaches that are better than others. So do your research, ask for references, testimonials, things like that. But I think for someone particularly that has some, the means, a little bit of resource money available to them for that, they're looking to improve and save their time and go into these events more prepared. I would recommend it.
So when you did receive a little bit of coaching, you mentioned it was kind of like, what is your deck's game plan? So were you playing like a hero and you brought a hero and a deck to that? Because I've always been kind of curious if like coaching would give me a newfound love or appreciation for a hero that I didn't play before.
Oh, that's an awesome question, Elaine. 100%. So I went to Matt basically saying, these are my 2 options that I want to play at Nats. And he looked at me and said, you've got to be effing kidding, mate. Do you want to lose? Do you want to lose? How badly do you want to lose, Paul? You can't be taking those decks in that. Don't be silly. Are you kidding me right now? What are you doing? No, so that's how the first conversation went. And I was like shocked. I was like, are you serious? And he goes, he just said to me, explain to me why you legitimately, he goes, you're going to Nats to win, right? He said, you obviously want to make top 8. That's why you're going to Nats. And he said, explain to me why you think those decks are going to get you there. And I couldn't, right? I just couldn't. And he and that's when he mentioned
to me. Was Bolton one of them?
Of course, yeah. Yeah. And that's when he said to me, he said, okay, stop effing around. you need to try Briar. And straight away, my
Um,
insecurities went up. Oh, there's no way I can play that deck. Complicated. I don't have time to learn a new deck. How can I? It was like 10 days before Nats. And I'm like, how can I possibly learn a new hero in 10 days? Like, it takes me at least 20, 30 reps just to get in the groove of a new hero, right? Just to get to the
Yeah.
baseline of the groove. And I said, and he's like, nah, don't sell yourself short. You can do this. And that's so he did instill a love in a new hero. I freaking love Briar. And
She's so
and
fun.
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't. And I went 4-0 in day one of Constructed, 4-0 against some of the best
that's
players.
awesome.
Um, so it is possible. It is possible to switch heroes. I think it's just a confidence thing. And I think if a coach is really recommending that and they logically explain to you why it's a good choice, which he did at that time, um, then I would say go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Briar, but you do get like comfortable with one hero, right? And then I always say like, "Oh, I'm going to try like, oh, I really want to try this hero. I want to try this deck and I should learn that hero." But everyone has a comfort zone, right? And so I've always been kind of curious if like coaching helps, if they kind of help push you out of that comfort zone and not just kind of make you more comfortable with the deck you already are used to. So yeah, I love that feedback. But I think we're gonna play a game.
Why don't
Are
we? I
we?
have one more question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have one more question. My question is around Baltimore
Yes.
and what
Oh
you're
yeah.
going to do, what you're excited about. Have you got any content creator stuff lined up? Like, what's on your list to do? What's your
Oh,
schedule?
that's awesome. So I get into Baltimore early, like I think like 6 o'clock in the morning on next Tuesday. And I'm going to hit the ground running. So I'm going to have 2 days of basically just experiencing Baltimore. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Mm.
I'm just going to take everything in. I'm going to go to where the American national anthem is from. I'm going to go out to I forget the name of it. It's like an island in the bay there that was used as a military fort during the Civil War. So what I'm saying is I've done the research. I'm going to do some touristy things before I get there.
You know more than I do.
I go deep, Elaine. When I go somewhere, I do a lot of research because I try and get the most in that I can. Plus, I'm going to be trying all the delicious crab cakes. That's what that place is famous for.
Yum.
So I'm going to just be eating as much crab as I can, seeing all the sights, plus doing sneaky cheeky content with my selfie stick while I'm out and about,
That's
experiencing
awesome.
all that Baltimore has to offer. Maybe I might get invited to help a few pros do some drafting, so I can show them what I'm made of while they're testing for the
Oh,
pro
yes.
tour. And then on Friday, I've got a big day in MinMax's booth. We're going to be doing a big
Oh,
promotion. I've been running
Oh,
a
that's
promotion with
exciting.
them, so I'll be in the MinMax booth all day Friday, doing a challenge type activity, and then Saturday, Sunday, I'll be playing in the calling. Uh,
cool.
and I went through the whole gauntlet, Elaine. I started off looking at Katsu, then Azuri, and then Reiner and Lexi, and I just settled on Briar. In the end, I settled back on Briar.
Help her. Well, I say help her get the living legend points, but at the same time, I'll be so sad to see her go.
Yeah, look, I just had to sort of think to myself. I think she's still strong, and I don't think in a short amount of time that there's a reason why I should switch off her. If she was really bad, like actually really, really bad, then I'd probably switch to maybe Azalea or something because I was playing a bit of Azalea too. But
Okay.
Mm,
I felt that Briar was still good enough for me to play.
I
cool.
love it. I love to see it.
So Baltimore's going
And
to be
so
awesome.
Baltimore is going to be amazing. Are you going with a crew or solo or meeting up with peeps? What's the haps?
Yeah, so well, I've got heaps of like people that I'm going to be meeting up over there, whether it's subscribers and content creators and people in the industry that I'll be meeting up with. Also, I think there's 2 or 3 people flying from Sydney that I'll be catching up with over there, and then on the weekend, I have a friend of mine from North Carolina that is going to be staying where I'm staying for a couple of nights. So I met this gentleman at Jersey because he was good friends with one of my first subscribers, and he joined me at Worlds and stayed with me for Worlds, and we just hit it off. We're really good mates now, and he's going to be coming up from North Carolina for a couple of nights to stay where I'm staying.
Elaine's like, who was that? I see your face.
And I'm like, we'll see.
That sounds awesome. And
Yeah,
when
that's
do you go back to Aussie?
Monday morning, the Monday after.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
first
Wow,
thing.
what a whirlwind.
Yeah,
So you get like, but you have like almost a week.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, arrive on Tuesday, fly
A
out
week,
Monday.
yeah.
So it's pretty good because you lose
Mhm.
2 days travel basically.
Right.
So yeah,
Time
but
zone
And
wise.
you will land early Tuesday too, so you'll just push through. You'll have you get like a whole day. At least you're not landing like Tuesday night. Yeah, that'll be so fun.
are you
Are you
going,
going, Elaine?
Elaine?
No, I have a lot of other stuff going on, and I had to kind of use the funds for the trip for a different trip that, as much as I would have loved to go to Baltimore, this was just the smarter decision for me.
Okay.
But yeah,
Worlds, maybe.
unfortunately. But like hearing everyone talk about it, and I'm gonna have FOMO all weekend watching everyone just like be together. And but I don't know. I'm still excited. I will be definitely watching from home. But yes, and on Twitter, missing out. But it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited for you and everyone else who's gonna go. It's gonna be awesome, and you guys are gonna get first look at whatever these new cosplay prizes are,
Mm.
and Dust Till Dawn. There's a lot of like exciting things going on that weekend in Flesh and Blood at Pro Tour. That's not just Pro Tour, what everyone's there to see, right? It's so
I think
really
LSS, I
great.
believe they're announcing the whole organized play schedule for the remainder of the year.
Oh,
That'll be
yes.
great.
And
I think
hmm,
everyone will be very happy about that.
and I
Live
am gonna.
stream, live stream.
You are wearing a fabulous hoodie there, Elaine. My favorite American beer. That's right, Paps
I
B.
I wore it just for you. I put it on before this episode because
Oh,
I have it, so I had to wear
oh,
it.
lucky you. I'll have to get some merch while I'm over there. I'll be doing my very best to find places that are selling PBR when I'm over there. Because unfortunately, in San Jose, I could not find a PBR. I couldn't
Really?
find it. No, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Worst place on earth.
Really?
Travesty.
Yeah, travesty, fiasco. But in New
Yeah.
York, that's what got me on it. It was New York. That's where I first discovered PBR in New York, and it was everywhere, and I absolutely loved it. So that's what we'll be doing in Baltimore is finding where I
You
can have
can
some PBR.
probably find it a lot of places in Baltimore if I had to guess.
Awesome.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna play a game. Um when Melody and I were writing this episode, we are like, all right, what do we want to talk about? We always break it down. And I was like, Melody, I kind of just want to play a game. And she's like, what kind of game? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just come up with some fun questions. So that's what we did. And they're kind of silly, but we thought it'd be fun. So the very first question is, if you were stuck on a desert island with only one of the heroes of Wraith, who would you want to be stuck with and why?
When I read this question, I thought to myself, how much do I want to get myself in trouble here? But let's
Oh.
but let's just let's just but let's just
Oh.
be honest. If I'm going to be stuck on a desert island, right, and we're going to have to. Let's be quite frank. We are definitely going to have some little Timmys running around. So we're going to have to. I'm going to have to match with someone that I can extend the heroes of Wraith. I wouldn't mind having some of my own heroes, my little heroes. So, but I'm going to need someone that's handy because believe it or not, I am not the biggest handyman. Okay, I can do, I'm like a grunt. You tell me what to do, and I will do it. Okay, I'll be the first one there, the last one to leave. I'll work all day. But as far as actually like building stuff with my bare hands and no, I just don't have the mind for it. So I need to find a specimen to come with me on the island. It's handier than me, right? So who do we know that's quite handy? Okay, I think Prism and Dory are Prism's too much of a princess. I can't see Prism getting her hands dirty. Dory is a cold, hard chick. But again, she's probably got little, little, what do they call them? Porters or little, what,
Servers.
servers. Yeah, like those
Yeah.
squires, like before you become a
Yeah.
Yes.
knight. Yeah,
Yep.
we got a bunch of them, like polishing her swords and doing all that stuff for her. So I'm going to need someone a little bit. So I was thinking, okay, someone a little bit more down and dirty. And then I thought Azalea, right? Azalea. I'm sure she makes
Oh,
her own
yeah.
poison darts and all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
But then I decided to go one up for that. And I thought, well, maybe I can find a hero that can actually morph into all different types. So it can be,
Shiana.
yes, exactly. So we're going with Shiana because Shiana can just morph into being handy person, Prism, smart, can be doing
Dutiful wife.
Dory can, she can be cold as nails and just if we get attacked by some wildlife, she can just defend me. So I'm going
Yeah.
Shiana.
She could turn into like Reinhardt too. I mean, you get all the heroes of Wraith in one.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really spicy. I can't imagine that. She'll be chasing me all over the island. I tell you what. But no, so that's what we're going with. We'll go with Shiana.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So I'm going to jump ahead to another question. So I think this is a great question. So, would you rather suffer from blood rot pox or have to clean up after Levia's dinner party? Blood rot pox, dismembered bodies, blood, gore.
No, I would definitely clean up after the dinner party. No problem. Blood rot pox, I would not want to have that infliction. Okay.
No, we don't know if there's a cure either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No chance. I don't walk around with blue pitch, so I'm not going to be saving myself anytime soon.
Or red baby.
Not as a Briar player, no.
Yeah, I'll definitely go with cleaning up the after party, which I think would be a wild night.
I think so.
It would be, yes.
Speaking of dinner parties, if you had to invite one hero to a dinner party with your entire family, they need to wine and dine and impress them all, but have a little bit of fun. Who would you invite?
That was another one I thought about as well, because I'd want to pick a hero that would be fun for the kids, interesting for my wife as well. So I was thinking and then I thought, I think in this case, in my mind, an illusionist would be really cool. Because they could yeah. Ooh, I don't know about dragons but we really like dragons. Yeah, really like dragons. But I think I would go with Prism because she's super smart. It'd be some great dinner conversations. Plus, she could make all these wonderful illusions for us and just captivate our minds. So I definitely go with Prism. I think she'd be great to have at a dinner party.
I agree. I thought you were going to say Genis. Or
Genis was up there. Genis was in the short list. Yes.
I think he'd be lots of fun. But okay, next question. If you had to fight one of the heroes in hand-to-hand combat, what hero do you think you could take on and probably win against?
I don't know. I don't like getting hit. I don't like it. When I was younger and I did boxing for a while, I used to love hitting the bag, and I used to think, "Oh, I'm so good. And then when I started sparring and I caught my first big punch on the nose,
You're like,
I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I like hitting the bag, but I don't like getting hit. I don't like this at all. Anyway, I did it for a while. But you get used to it, but still, some people just love getting hit or they can handle it. I don't like it. Okay, so in that case, I've got to go up against someone that I can hit and they won't get up. Because if they get up and hit me, it's probably all done. I'm going to lose. Right? So someone that I think would not get up from one of my hits, I would have to go with Benji. Sorry, mate.
Benji,
I think I think if
not
Child.
Camdane.
I think if I catch Benji with one, even though I think he'd be quick, I think if I can do something sneaky cheeky, be a little tricksy wixies, I think I could catch Benji off guard, land one on him, and hopefully he won't get up. Because if he does get
And then
up,
you can.
I'm I'm
You're
I'm,
running.
I'm done.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
getting lots of kicks.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if there was a talent show for all of Wraith, which hero would you be most excited to watch perform? And what do you think their hidden talent would be?
Ooh, look, I'm gonna have to go with Vouder
Valda.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a good one.
because I would love to see some amazing feats of strength.
Yeah. That would honestly be exciting. I'd love to see Valda just like chuck in a car or like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. Like
Yeah,
just
like
lift,
whoa.
lift, like a man in each hand above her
Yeah,
head and just twirl them around and like kind of like some circus type, but just
yeah,
amazing feats of strength. Like she can
yeah.
just like squat a horse or something. Like she would, you know, yeah,
I'm imagining like she picks up the bleachers with all the people on it at the end. It's
yeah,
just like, yeah, cheering, grand finale.
yeah.
That'd be so
Vouder would
fun.
be so cool. Vouder would be really cool.
That'd be
I
awesome.
think so too. Okay. Should we do one more?
Yeah, go
Last
ahead.
one? No, you do. You pick one.
Okay, I'm gonna go with this one because I'm wearing the sweatshirt. Who would win in a drinking contest between you and Bravo? You're in a pub together. You know, tensions are building. You're both drinking PBRs. Who would win?
Well, unfortunately, I think it's the only thing that God did give me with is the ability to slam back tasty beverages, especially when I was a bit younger. But I'll still rise to the challenge. So unfortunately, Bravo's not going to stand a chance. He could dead set. He
Oh,
could flog me in a fight, but if it comes down to drinking beers, he's got no hope. No hope.
gotta drink them under the
Yeah, I
table.
love it.
Love it. Well, we hope you
Uh,
enjoyed those questions. We had a lot of fun
Yeah, that was
conjuring
cool.
them.
I love how much thought you put like into each one beforehand. That was great.
Well,
Thank you.
you're so organized. Those show notes are impeccable.
Oh, well,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you.
We
We try to
try.
be. All right, we'll go to listener questions.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll start with analog nerd. Is he from New
that's
Zealand?
Paul.
It is
Yeah,
Paul. Yeah, yeah.
it's another.
So
Yeah, another Paul, different Paul.
different Paul. How are you finding the Australian fab scene? It's kind of an interesting question. Do you find it more casual or competitive? And also, have you seen any interesting styles of play that you don't see elsewhere? Because you've done a bit of traveling. You've been to New Zealand, Australia, the US. What are your thoughts?
I think the Australian fab scene, I can only talk on the Sydney scene where I'm located in New South Wales. Um, it's definitely growing. I'm seeing a lot more new people enter the game, but it has its, peaks and troughs. Like since I started in May 21, I've seen some of the player base get recycled, like people leave, but they've been replaced and plus one. I think
Mm.
the Sydney scene is in a good spot, but there's definitely room to grow as far as getting the right LGSs on board and getting them excited about running events. But yeah, I think overall the Sydney scene is healthy and it is continuing to grow. I do see new players. I've seen a lot of new players this year join the game, which is really
Awesome.
positive. As far as what sort of spice we're packing over here, we do have people, especially in Blitz. I think Blitz is where people come to innovate the most because it's probably a little bit easier because you have more heroes. So yeah, we get all sorts of people, whether it's like me on my Royal Briar, all the plunder runs. We have people that play Vouder to death, or they play Shiana, or different weird takes on heroes. That's what I think I see, but that's probably it. I haven't really seen a lot of, like, I wouldn't say innovation, but I think Flesh and Blood is somewhat quite difficult to really innovate in CC because of the depths of cards we have
Mhm.
access to. I'm sure once the game's 10, 15 years old, you'll probably see a lot more innovation because of the card pool.
Right. Um, Fabled Hero in Z, Lynette says, "It was a pleasure to meet you in Auckland. My first question is about events and traveling to them. In your opinion, what is the ideal lead out time as most people have work and tight budgets? Also, having attended a few events, what event would be a good one to aim for someone who can only attend like one event a year to say?"
That's a great question. And Lynette, it was a pleasure to meet you too, and to all the Kiwis that I caught up with. Mel, you were at that dinner. That was a good time. So yeah, events, they are tricky. I guess it really comes down to your own situation, but I'm a big proponent, like going to big TCG events, like big Flesh and Blood events or Magic events. I used to go to big ones. To me, that's the pinnacle of what this hobby has to offer. So when you're in a space with another 200, 300, 400, 1,000, 2,000 people, and you're all like minded, you're all there enjoying the same hobby, there's just something really special about that. There's something about the atmosphere. There's some, I don't know, for me personally, and I'm sure plenty of other people feel it, it's just an experience. So, in my mind, if you can get to one big event a year, just one big event a year, even if it means sacrificing maybe a couple of smaller events. And I'm like, if I had a choice between, say, attending all my skirmishes and some pro quests, or I could go to that call in at the end of the year, I would prioritize the bigger event.
Mm.
Because yeah, I just find that there's something really, really special about these big TCG events, and I love that LSS are creating that spectacle celebration, which I believe these events should be.
I 100% agree with that. Having also attended a lot of events, the Pro Tour New Jersey was just like so top notch, so much fun, and this Pro Tour too, they're setting up to have like all these reveals that are going to take place there. They really it's so cool to see the community interact that way, and LSS give back. Like, well, they do a lot to like give back to the community, but it's just a cool community that they foster, and it's very prevalent at those type of events. So I back that.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question. We've got a couple more, but I want to see how you respond to this one. If you could have one non-fab sponsor, what brand would you want it to be?
Non-fab, definitely PBR. We're already we're already
It's from
paving the
Tommy.
we're already paving the way. Okay, Tommy, it's PBR for sure. I would love. Yeah, how good would that be? Like eventually when I get like a proper legit streaming setup, you know how some of those streamers, not that I really watch them, but I've seen like shorts on YouTube, they have their Red
Yeah.
Bull fridge behind them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I think maybe Post Malone had a Bud Light sponsorship. He had Bud Light for
Yeah,
not
he
geez,
did.
not that
He
I'm in
did.
any
Yeah.
geez, I'm a nobody compared to them. But how cool would it be to have like a little PBR fridge in the back of your stream, just stocked with cans of PBR, and every so often you can get back there and knock one back with the team. That would be ideal.
Melody did not. She left this part out for just so we could see your pure reaction. But Tommy Fresh did guess at the end of that question that you would answer PBR. So
He knows me
shout
well.
out to Tommy. He knows you well. Let's see. So we have this question from Mara. Mara says, "Why is your mom so awesome? And when do we get to see more of her on your channel?"
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say that, Mara. She is awesome. She's featured on two shorts on my channel, and she just really has supported me in all my hobbies ever since I was a child. Way
Oh,
back when I first got into my first sort of like nerdish hobby I got into was Warhammer Fantasy. Back when I was super young, maybe I was in year two, start of year two, and my mum used to help me build the scenery out of balsa wood. And one holidays we built like a full-on castle out of balsa wood, and
That's
yeah,
so
just
cool.
she's just been right into it, right into it. So when are we going to see more of my mum? Well, Mara, I'll definitely include her in more shorts just for you now that you've asked for it. And maybe one day, maybe one day when I come over to America, maybe mother might join me for the trip. That would be fantastic.
Aw.
It'll be so cool. Take the mothership.
Yeah, she's a hoot. She's a real hoot.
I know you have to go, Melody. Do you want to
Yes.
wrap us up or
Yeah, sure,
yeah?
sure.
Okay, go.
So
Take us away.
at the end of each episode, before we wrap everything up, we always like to ask our guests one final question. It is the same for everyone. Is there any content that you'd like to see on the Pitch Perfect podcast in the future?
Just continue to do it. Basically, I don't want to see you stop. That's for sure. And I want to see people on here that I might not hear about. Um, you know, there's plenty of great people in the community that have interesting stories that we don't get exposed to. So, you know, I've heard from people from for the first time on this podcast. You know, you have been doing that. So yeah, just keep pumping out those episodes, and if you can, highlight people that we may not know about.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So now is also the opportunity for you to plug yourself on socials. Give us your
Thanks for having me
handles,
on. I've
yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for
Where
having me
can
on. This has been a blast. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to see you both again in the flesh and blood. Play some games. I've got to get my revenge on a certain someone over
I'm
there.
scared.
Uh,
I
you,
need to start taking coaching.
no, you've played against me. You know what sort of a player I am. I'm pretty hopeless. But no, so okay. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Tall Timmy. I've got a bit of a variety show going on over there, so hopefully there's something that might tickle your fancy. I'm on Instagram as well, Twitter. I love the Twitter community. I think if you're not a part of the Flesh and Blood Twitter community, you should definitely go check it out. You can always email me. It's all in my about on my YouTube. I'll shoot me a DM. I really enjoy hearing from people, and I'm always open to communicating one on one with people in the community. And definitely, if you're going to be in Baltimore, please come up and say g'day. That's what I love the most is catching up with people in the flesh and blood. And if you think you're good enough, challenge me to a game of Blitz over at the MinMax booth on Friday. Let's see what you got.
That is awesome.
Now you've got me like excited for our inevitable rematch. I feel like I need to start training for it. But this has been so much fun. Thank you for coming on today. You are
Thank
great.
you.
This is exactly what I just wanted to be, a fun episode of just us catching up. Good luck at Baltimore. Have safe travels. And yeah, I think until next time,
Ka
bye.
kite.
Cheers,
Thank
team.
you for coming on.